On the latest episode of the B Movie Club, I'm your host Kevin. This week we're discussing the 1982 comedy classic, Zapped, starring Scott Baio, Will Yames, Scatman Crothers, Heather Thomas, the list goes on and on. For those of you joining us for the first time, each week on the B Movie Club we talk about a forgotten classic or a guilty pleasure, and give you an opportunity to send in your questions, comments, favorite thoughts, favorite scenes, anything else you want to get off your chest about the movie. You can subscribe to us on our YouTube page, Kevin D. So feel free to subscribe. It's absolutely free. Also, you can get automatic updates every day, every time we put something up on our Facebook page, Original B Movie Club. And you can also reach me anytime, day or night, maybe not anytime, many times during the day, on Twitter at KD9575. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter. Don't forget to like my page on Facebook. And don't forget to spread the word, homie. Okay? Zapped. In this movie, Scott Baio plays Barney, a high school science student who is kind of a nerd, but has his wacky friends. He's got Will Yames hanging by, who's like works for the school paper, and he's kind of crazy and lecherous. So there you go. Scott Baio, Barney, I should say, mixes some chemicals together. There's a big explosion, and now he's got the ability to move things with his mind, telekinesis. Okay. He doesn't seem all that perturbed by it. He's just kind of like, oh, that's interesting. That's that fine Baio acting we've all come to appreciate. He's moving things around. He's picking up the laboratory. You see a broom come sweeping up a mess, but not very effectively. At one point, Heather Thomas, who she's like, the beautiful girl in the class, the kind of unattainable cheerleader type that they're all interested in. He stares at her so much that her blouse pops open. I don't know. That's just what happens, okay? Anyway, the student body president, she's peeking through the window and she sees beakers and graduated cylinders flying around the laboratory, so she figures out what's going on. Will Yames figures out what's going on. I'm just going to keep calling him Will Yames. I don't remember what his character's name is. What can I tell you? Nobody seems that flabbergasted or surprised. They're just kind of like, oh, that's interesting. She wants to go ahead and perform experiments, get published in the latest science journals. Will Yames wants to use it for his own, wealth and fame. Typically, the best friend of the psychic doesn't get a whole lot of play, but whatever. I'm not here to judge. It's really not much to this story. Scatman Crothers plays the coach of the basketball team, who's also, I don't know, he's friends with Barney. For some reason, Will Yames and Scott Baio are like both on the baseball team, as well as having their other things going on. I mean, you know what? Barney, he's got a lot going on. He's a science whiz, also on the baseball team. I don't know, maybe it wasn't that big of a school. I don't want to spoil the entire plot, okay? If I had to say, this is basically Carrie mixed with a little bit of Porky's, so you get the best of both worlds. That's what you're looking for. As we know, Scott Baio is famous for being on such shows as Happy Days and later Joni Loves Chachi. This is actually one of the first movies he did, first starring roles in a movie. Will Yames was obviously in 8 Is Enough, so this was also his, as far as I know, his only foray into into filmmaking. First time they were put together, obviously people loved their chemistry, so they brought him back on the syndicated TV show Charles in Charge, where they basically played very similar characters. Charles was very, responsible, taking care of some kids, and Will Yames played Buddy, his buddy, who's kind of an idiot. So there you go. We love that chemistry, you know what I'm saying? The girl who played the student body class president, her name was Eileen Schechter. I hope I'm getting that right. You might remember her because she was on the first season of Facts of Life when they had an entirely different cast. She was actually the first girl hired for Facts of Life, and also the first girl fired when they decided we don't like this combination, and they brought in Natalie and Joe and Tootie and things like that. So there you go. She didn't go on to do much after this, sad to say. You know, it really wasn't a hit, okay? Nobody really appreciated it. But strangely enough, they made a sequel 8 years later, starring like literally one actress from the original cast, playing a teacher. They named it Zapped again. Heather Thomas, you might remember her. She was in this as her first big claim to fame, but then she went on to be in such things as The Fall Guy. Hey, we all love The Fall Guy. I did. On Channel 9, KCAL, okay, with Lee Majors. So she, very pretty, obviously. She often gets mixed up for Heather Locklear, who obviously we all know who she is. She was also blonde and pretty, so there you go. There's a couple nude scenes in this movie. Like I said, it's very Porky's-esque. They're both supposed to be Heather Thomas, but both times they're actually a body double. And Heather Thomas actually went on to like sue people because they put her head on the body double's body, not her, okay? She refused to go naked, probably a good idea, since it, I don't know, did such good things for her career in retrospect. Zapped. So there you have it. I watched this movie. It's supposed to take place in high school. The only actor in this movie who was still in high school, like I said, was Eileen Schachter, who actually had to miss her prom to film the prom scene from this movie. It was actually meant to be kind of a parody of Carrie, like I said previously, but it has that wacky sex romp kind of quality. It's not a movie you want to sit down and watch with your kids unless your kids are about 18. Okay, in that case, I'd say you still might want to miss it. Okay, not a great movie in retrospect. It's supposed to be kind of funny and zany. Not really that. Special effects in this movie were obviously horrendous. Every time you used the psychic powers to move stuff around, you could see the cables hanging down. Horrendous. The cast, for the most part, has totally disavowed this movie. Can't say that I blame them. You know what I'm saying? So, there you have it. Good times had by all. It currently has a 0 rating on Rotten Tomatoes. That's about as bad as it gets. Strangely enough, when I was looking for the trailer online to put on the B Movie Club site on Facebook, the only trailer that I could find on YouTube was like somebody had literally taken a camera and pointed it at a TV that had the trailer on. There actually is 100% more stuff for Zapped again, in case you want to watch that. I don't recommend that either. It has a cast that includes nobody you've ever heard of. So there you go. Actually, I shouldn't say that. Lyle Alzado plays a football coach in Zapped again. So it has that going for it, which is nice. So, next week, I'm going to be going to the action with a little bit of comedy genre. 48 Hours, starring Nick Nolte, our old friend, and Eddie Murphy, who we like a lot, but it's really about Nick Nolte in this one, in my opinion. Wah, wah, wah. So check that out. It is streaming instantly on Netflix with Zapped. So maybe while you're deciding whether or not you want to watch Zapped, you can click over and watch 48 Hours. So go ahead, check that out. Send me any favorite scenes, favorite quotes, anything else you want to tell me about 48 Hours. Don't forget to subscribe on our YouTube. Don't forget to like our page on Facebook. And you can always tweet me on Twitter. And spread the word, won't you? As you know, I end every episode with a totally out of context quote. And here it is. Barney Bonehead, hey, up yours. I know it's not a great quote. It's pretty worthless, actually. But that's the kind of quality you get when you watch Zapped, starring Scott Baio and Willie Ames. So there you go. Thank you for joining us. Next week, something a little bit better. I guarantee it. 48 Hours. Thanks again for joining us, and be well.